This video is on Chapter 7, Section 1, Ratios and Proportions, and the objective is to write ratios and solve proportions. A ratio is a comparison of two quantities by division, and we can write a ratio in three different ways. We could write 3 to 2 with a fraction bar, or 3 to 2 with a colon, or we could spell it out 3 to 2. All of these mean the same thing. So let's start with a problem. A model is made of a car. The actual car is 9 feet long, and the model of the car is 6 inches long. What is the ratio of the length of the car to the length of the model? So in our ratio, the length of the car needs to come first, since it came first in the question. So 9 feet to 6 inches, the length of the model. A ratio does not have units in it, so we need to get the units to match so that we can cancel them. Since there are 12 inches in a foot, we're going to take 9 times 12, which is 108 inches. So now we have 108 inches for the length of the car to 6 inches. So now the labels cancel. We also need to reduce our ratio, and both of these numbers can be divided by 6, so our ratio is 18 to 1, which means that the car is 18 times bigger than the model. For now, we're going to skip this next problem, but don't cross it out because we might come back to it when we're reviewing. Here is our next problem. Members of a school band are buying pots of tulips and daffodils to sell at their fundraiser. They plan to buy 120 pots of flowers, so that's our total number of flowers. The ratio of the number of tulips to the number of daffodils will be 2 to 3. So that means for every 2 tulips, there will be 3 daffodils. How many pots of each type of flower should they buy? So this ratio 2 to 3 is really some reduced number. The ratio was reduced by some number x. So we need to figure out what that x was to figure out how many tulips and how many daffodils they should buy. So 2x is tulips, and 3x is the number of daffodils. So if we add up the number of tulips plus the number of daffodils, that has to equal our total number of flowers, 120. So now we just solve for x. Combine like terms and we get 5x equals 120. Divide both sides by 5 and we get x equals 24. Now we can use this number 24 to figure out how many tulips and how many daffodils they should buy. So since the number of daffodils was 2x, we're going to plug 24 in for x. We get 2 times 24, which is 48. The number of daffodils was 3x, so 3 times 24, which is 72. If we add these up, we should get 120 total flowers, which we do. Again, we're going to skip this problem, but don't cross it out because we might come back to it. So now let's look at an extended ratio. An extended ratio compares 3 or more numbers. So we just compared 2 numbers, and now we're going to compare 3 or more. So here's our next problem using an extended ratio. The lengths of the sides of a triangle are in the extended ratio 3 to 5 to 6, which means there's some x that these side lengths were reduced by. The perimeter of the triangle is 98 inches. So perimeter is the length of all of the sides. So we're going to add up our three sides, 3x plus 5x plus 6x equals 98 inches. And we want to find out what is the length of the longest side. So again, we need to combine our like terms. So we get 14x equals 98. We need to divide both sides by 14. So 98 divided by 14 is 7. Okay, so now that we know x, we can figure out what the three side lengths are. So we're going to plug in 7 for each side length. So 3 times 7 is 21 for that side. 6 times 7 is 42. And 5 times 7 is 35. So our longest side is this one, the 42 side. So the longest side is 42 inches, since that was our unit for the perimeter. Next is a similar problem, but dealing with the measures of the angles of a triangle. So we're going to skip this one for now. Okay, next we're going to talk about the cross product property. So if two ratios are equal, that means that they form a proportion. And if something is proportional, then when we cross multiply, so take B times C, that is going to equal A times D. So here in letter A, to solve for x, if we have a missing piece in a proportion, we're going to cross multiply. So 6 times 4 is 24. That has to equal 5 times x, or 5x. Then we just solve for x like normal. So divide both sides by 5. And we get that x equals 4.8. Okay, let's skip to letter C. So again, to solve, we're going to cross multiply. So here we have 3 times y plus 4. And since the y plus 4 has two terms, we need parentheses. That has to equal 9 times y, or 9y. Since we have these parentheses over here, we need to distribute the 3. So 3y plus 12 equals 9y. Now we need to get all the y's over to one side, so subtract 3y from both sides. So 12 equals 6y. Divide both sides by 6, and y equals 2. Here we have a list of properties of proportions. So in proportions, we can move some things around. So for example, if we have A to B equals C to D, then we can flip them so that we have B to A is equal to D to C. But if you flip one, you have to flip both of them. We can also switch them going across, so A to B equals C to D. We can switch it so that we have A and B across from each other and C and D across from each other. However, if we have A to B equals C to D, we cannot have it set up so that they are now diagonal from each other. So this is not equivalent. We cannot have them going diagonal from each other. Okay, and then the last property, we can add them up, so A plus B over B That is the same if we add these up, C plus D over D. So let's use those properties to write equivalent proportions. So in this first one, so we're rewriting this proportion. So we have X over Y, so left to right. So if we're going to make an equivalent proportion, we have to go left to right again. So 6 over 7. So X over Y equals 6 over 7. And then in this one, it got flipped upside down. So 6 over X, top or bottom to top, we have to do the same thing for this next one. Bottom 7 to top Y, so 7 over Y. And then last, we have Y and 7 added up, so Y plus 7 over here. So that means we need to add these two up over here, X plus 6, over, on this one it was over 7, so over the bottom number. So over here we need over the bottom number again, X plus 6 over 6. And that's it for Chapter 7, Section 1.